In the peaceful village of Macondo, the morning sun kissed the thatched roofs of the huts, casting a gentle golden glow. Kofi, his smile as warm as the morning itself, waved to his wife Ama as he set off for his day's work. The air was filled with the sweet chorus of birdsong, and a calm wind rustled the leaves of the mango trees. It was a perfect morning, a morning that promised peace. Yet, deep within Ama's heart, a small, uneasy whisper told her that this day would not end as gently as it had begun. Later that morning, Ama swept their compound, humming an old village song her mother had taught her. It was a tune of contentment, but her hands trembled for reasons she couldn't name. An inexplicable disquiet settled upon her. Then her eyes fell upon something small and familiar on the sleeping mat. Kofi's cowrie shell bracelet. He never took it off. It was a gift from his grandfather, a charm he believed kept him safe. Seeing it lying there forgotten sent a shiver through her. Her spirit grew restless. She picked up the small, smooth shells, her fingers tracing their patterns as she whispered a prayer to the wind. Ancestors, protect my husband on his path. Guide his feet and keep him from harm. By midday, the gentle peace of the morning was shattered. A young boy from the next village, his face streaked with dust and sweat, ran breathless to her hut. He gasped for air, his eyes wide with urgency. Auntie Ama, Auntie Ama, there has been a terrible accident near the old baobab tree. The words struck her like a physical blow. The broom fell from her hand, clattering against the hard-packed earth. Without a thought for her shoes or her shawl, she took off. Running down the dusty road, her heart pounded a frantic rhythm against her ribs, a drumbeat of fear louder than any ceremonial drum she had ever heard. When she finally reached the healer's hut, a small crowd had gathered, their faces etched with concern. Men were carefully carrying Kofi on a makeshift wooden stretcher. His face was pale, his breath so shallow it was almost imperceptible. Ama fell to her knees beside him, her hands finding his, which were cold and still. The village healer, a wise old man with eyes that had seen much of life and death, leaned in and whispered, his voice low and solemn. He sleeps in the space between life and death. Only love, deep and true, can call him back now. Hot tears streamed down Ama's cheeks as she bowed her head and began to pray, her voice a desperate, trembling plea to the spirits and ancestors who watched over them. Days blurred into a single long vigil. Ama never left Kofi's side. She refused food. She ignored sleep. Her world had shrunk to the space within that small hut, to the man lying so still on the mat. She sang to him, her voice soft but unwavering. She sang the old stories of their love, weaving a tapestry of memories in the quiet air. She spoke of the day he carved her name into the bark of the giant mango tree, a secret promise only they shared. She reminded him of how they danced under the full harvest moon, their laughter echoing through the village square. Each word was a vessel carrying the full strength of her heart, a lifeline thrown across the void to reach him. The healer watched her, a silent observer to this sacred ritual. A woman's voice, when filled with such love, he murmured to himself, can reach even the spirits in the great beyond. One quiet night, as the village slept and the only sound was the chirp of crickets, Ama drifted into an exhausted sleep. She dreamed. In her dream, she saw Kofi standing beside the river, the same river where they first met. He was smiling, his face whole and healthy. Don't cry, my wife, he said, his voice clear as a bell. I am close. I am coming back. She woke with a start, her heart pounding. The dream felt so real. Instinctively, she reached out and touched his hand. It moved. A faint, weak twitch, but it was there. Kofi, she cried, a soft, choked whisper. The healer, who had been dozing in a corner, rushed to her side. He felt Kofi's pulse, his eyes widening in amazement. His spirit heard your call, he said, his voice filled with awe. He has turned back from his journey. A fragile, trembling hope began to fill the small hut, pushing back the shadows of despair. The next sunrise brought more than just light, it brought joy. As the first rays streamed into the hut, Kofi's eyelids fluttered. Slowly he opened his eyes. They were weak, but they were his. He looked at Ama and a faint whisper escaped his lips. Ama, you called me back. Overwhelmed, she held him tightly, her tears of sorrow turning into tears of relief, her sobs mixing with laughter. The healer stood by, nodding slowly, a serene smile on his face. The ancestors are pleased, he declared. Outside, the first rooster crowed, its call heralding not just a new day but a new dawn for Kofi, and for the enduring power of their love. In the weeks that followed, Kofi's strength returned, slowly but surely. The villagers, overjoyed, came to visit every day, bearing gifts of fresh fruit, warm porridge, and songs of healing. At night, after the visitors had gone, he and Ama would sit beside the small fire in their hut. They talked for hours, reliving old memories and daring to dream of a new future. One evening, Kofi looked into the flames, his expression thoughtful. "Life is a fragile gourd, my love," he said quietly. Emma took his hand and smiled. "And love," she replied, "is the water that keeps it from drying and cracking." The day Kofi finally walked on his own again, the entire village of Macondo erupted in celebration. The drummers played vibrant, joyful rhythms that pulsed through the air. The children danced with abandon, their small feet kicking up clouds of happy dust. The elders gathered to offer blessings of gratitude and long life. Emma's heart felt so full it might burst. She watched him, strong and alive, and her joy overflowed. She looked into his eyes and said, "Even the great river with all its power cannot wash away what we have survived together." Kofi pulled her close, his voice firm with renewed purpose. "Then let us live every day from now on like a second chance." That evening, as the celebration wound down, they walked hand in hand to the old baobab tree, the site of the accident now transformed into a symbol of their resilience. They sat beneath its ancient, sprawling branches, and the stars began to appear, blinking like the proud, watchful eyes of their ancestors. "We almost lost everything," Ama whispered into the quiet night. Kofi turned to her and smiled, a smile that reached his eyes and lit up his entire face. "But love," he said, his voice full of certainty, "brought us home." In the distance, the sound of the drums faded into a gentle echo, as their quiet laughter joined the timeless song of the crickets. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of love and hope.